Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Josh?
Good. Where
Yeah.
are you?
I'm in New York.
Okay.
I'm
How-
actually in the final days in an apartment in Forest Hills, Queens, and I'm going upstate shortly.
You're moving out of the apartment.
Yeah, it was sort of a temporary. I got sequestered here once the quarantining started. It was
Oh,
my
really?
dad's apartment. Yeah,
Okay.
and then yeah, so it's a long story for another time.
Okay. All right.
How are
You're
you?
gonna go upstate, huh? I'm doing good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm in Valencia, Spain. My
I know.
my wife and kids are here, so I came over the 24th of March just in time. Got
Oh,
one of
right.
the last flights.
Oh, yeah. It's a little Casablanca kind of thing where
Yeah.
right, you got the
I
last
forgot
plane.
this is a film podcast. Yeah.
Right, sort of. Yeah. I did have an author on, actually. I have the book around here somewhere, but on Casablanca, he wrote about 5 years ago. That was fun because, just got to read a very thorough. It's an immigrant story. It's a really cool immigrant story when you look at it through that prism. And
I haven't watched the whole thing.
you haven't?
No, I remember I've seen parts of it, just the famous scenes that they put on there on,
Sure.
term classic movies or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, you have something, it's interesting. And I once took, and then I also once took, what's that guy's name? Famous screenwriter. He does the seminar. I don't know why I'm blanking on it, but it's like worldwide famous. And you can attend it, he goes from city to city or what have you. And I just thought it would be, and remember that movie Nicolas Cage was in, Adaptation? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Meryl Streep, and he plays two brothers.
Oh, that was such a good movie. That's a Charlie Kaufman film, isn't it?
You passed
That's
the
him.
test. See, you're you can do film podcast.
Yeah.
So
He was really, I don't know. I wonder, has he done anything lately? Because he really back, when was that? Like the early 2000s? He was really coming up with some he did the
mind of John Malkovich, inside the head of John Malkovich.
Yeah, that was just brilliant, man. Everyone walked out of that movie going, well, how didn't think of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty psychedelic,
right.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know. But the guy, if you remember in Adaptation, one of the brother, the kind of the brother that you're more, the one that was, the Nicolas Cage that was kind of on the downwards trajectory. Remember the loser brother was writing screenplays, and all of a sudden somebody bought, I don't know, it was being made. And so but the first Nicolas Cage, he goes to that seminar, and then he's confronted by the teacher. Do you remember the lecturer? Do you remember that at all? It's such a small, so many years ago. That guy is a real guy, not the guy, the actor.
Oh, okay.
And,
yeah.
He does this screenwriting thing. And I took the class with a friend of mine years ago, shortly after Adaptation came out. So it was really, and it was a lot of fun. So they showed Casablanca and they would just stop it. They would show it in beats. So it took like 3 hours to watch it. And he would just go by beat of the film, taking it apart. And it was wonderful. It was a very different way to watch a film for me,
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Take care. God bless.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, you and I actually, our paths have crossed in the past, in your Brooklyn days. When I guess I already was a fan, and one of your, I had your number of your albums. Just a lot of Rouse stuff here. And I guess I don't know if I knew you were living in Brooklyn at the time, like in Carroll Gardens or Cobble Hill or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I was living. I don't know why I was there as much at that time. I think I was living in Manhattan, but I had lived in Carroll Gardens for many years before that. But for whatever reason, I was there, and I saw you once or twice, and once I stopped you, and we said hello. But
okay,
that happens all the time. Then I was on the second ever Cayamo cruise.
Oh, you were on that?
Yeah.
The one I got left on. Yeah.
What?
I missed the boat on that one in Mexico.
You did?
Oh yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, they haven't asked me back.
Oh, I had
myself and like 7 other people. Yeah, we missed that. I think we docked, and if you were on the same one then.
I had to have been. I don't know. It had to have been 2007 or 8 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was 2008.
Okay,
I think that's right. And we stopped in Mexico, and we all got off, and then we got the ship time wrong and went back, and the ship was taken off, and they said, or the cruise was taken off. They said, well, you can't get back on. You're going to have to charter a flight to catch up. And so that's what we had to do the next day, was charter a little puddle jumper that wouldn't start. And it was like Gilligan's Island. It was myself and my wife and
the professor and Marianne,
a professor, a couple girls, Holly Williams, who's Hank Williams Jr.'s daughter.
Oh yeah.
And her boyfriend at the time his name's Chris Jansen. I see him in Nashville sometimes. He's become kind of a country star. Anyway, we were all kind of stranded there, and we had to get a little private plane to get to the next stop.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway.
Oh well.
So we met on that cruise.
Well, we definitely had an interaction. I guess it was once you were back on the cruise, because I was sick the first couple of days, and yeah, I don't know. I think I drank something bad, or I don't know what happened to me. Just a couple of days, and then I kind of went out on deck finally when I was feeling human again. And I was like just laying out on a chaise lounge or what have you, and this mother and daughter that I met there, I hadn't even met them yet. They were. Are you wearing sunscreen? Are you okay? Because we're worried about you. And this is again, it's like the third day, and I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then I'm starting to talk with. From that moment on, they adopted me on that cruise, because I couldn't get any friend to go, and I was recently divorced, and it was my way of taking myself like on a vacation.
Yeah.
And I had a young son at the time, and I was just miserable because I got sick. I was missing my kid. I thought, oh, what a mistake. And, even though by the second or third, by like the first night, I talked to somebody who worked for the concert series, and they ended up giving me another band for like the early show. So I had like, remember how they had 2 shows every day?
Yeah.
Things. So I could go to like see so much music. So I was seeing like, Demi Lou Harris and Lyle Lovett, all those guys, Sean Colvin. And I had been working in the music industry at Sony Music. So I knew a lot of these people, not personally, but, I was really into the music. And I was really thrilled that you were there. And then you were playing like a smaller show one night anyway, in one of the lounges, right? Do you remember this?
I had a casino gig, yeah.
Yes, it was in the casino. But you were terrific. And I had met this girl, and of course she was from Nashville, it turns out, where my recently divorced wife was also from Nashville. I got married in Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah, at Cheapwood.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, it was a beautiful spot. So I'm just going to show this to you, and then I'll actually make this podcast about you. Because I'm hogging it up.
Well, that's us.
Look how young we were.
Wow, yeah.
Look at me.
Jeez, yeah.
Well, I'm
fantastic.
Usually closer to that weight, not like I am here quarantining for 3 months and I've gotten fat and pasty and oh well.
How's the situation in New York now? Are people out? And I know there's a lot of protests going on and that sort of thing. Are people getting out now with masks and eating in restaurants? I mean,
no, I don't. No, not quite like that. But I'm a little bit out of the way now because, as I said, I'm not in Brooklyn. I'm really off the beaten path for lately. But it's kind of good. But no, like nobody's sitting in restaurants. No, that hasn't happened yet. But
Wow.
people go out, and they wear masks because I think we've learned more and more like how you get it, how you can avoid it. So the majority of people that I see are wearing masks, and even if it's just out of respect, if nothing else. But people are running errands now. It's like a new way of life in a way. It's like we've adjusted. It's been like almost 3 months. So
That's crazy. Yeah.
now they have a curfew this week because of those protests and the adjacent vandalism that's going on from outside, mostly from outside fractions that are, and so
yeah.
So I was actually supposed to go up a few days ago to see this house I'm going to be renting, and I couldn't even go because I was worried about being able to get back into the city and being able to. You're not allowed to be out and drive till Sunday.
Wow.
It's like crazy. So it's really crazy.
Yeah, here in Spain it's been like that too. It's been intense. But for the past few weeks, maybe 3 weeks, things have, we're in phase 2 now, so we can go to the beach. Restaurants are opening up.
Oh, good.
A lot more activity, I mean, wearing the mask, we wear the mask when we go down, but if you're exercising, you don't have to wear one. People are eating it. So a few people wearing them on the street, I don't know if it really, and then the rest, people are sitting on the street having beer or whatever, and the outdoor cafes, which is really popular. So I don't know how effective the masks are to that, if you're outside or.
Or is most of the eating outside too? Like at restaurants, they have a lot of outdoor, like, it's Europe. So a lot of people eat outside.
They do, but they're at half capacity now inside. You can go inside and like every other table they can sit. So you can see, excuse me.
So they stay open twice as many hours now, the restaurants.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, so we'll muddle through we have no choice, right?
Right.
So are you coming back? I know you split your time between Valencia and Nashville.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at flights and figuring out this summer with the children, and we have a home there that's I have someone checking on it. Our dog is with my aunt, that we're trying to figure all that stuff, just like everyone else. I can't really travel that well. We probably can now, but then coming back and the whole thing, we've been homeschooling, and they still have one more week left here, so it's been definitely a challenge. I haven't been able to, all my concerts have been canceled until October.
Right.
So yeah, I was just actually working on some finances before you called and going, okay, what's going to happen now? What are we going to do? So, and I'm sure that
you're welcome and sorry. So it was interesting because I've been trying to, I guess, more aggressively in the last few weeks to connect with you because you're one of these musicians that I've just felt, has provided me with so much joy over the years, and I've seen you play. Once I saw you downtown in the city, I don't remember the venue. It's like outside. It was like probably 15 years ago. I don't know what year it was, but some.
Oh, was it a park outside?
Yeah.
That was a great show. I remember that.
It was a wonderful show.
We played, it was like, I wasn't sure, it kind of packed up in there and everyone was seated. And then I think after the third song, I think we played that song Carolina or something. Everyone stood up and the whole thing just changed. And we were like, yeah, this is more like, I can't remember I saw Cat Power there. I saw a bunch of shows there. A few years later I did it.
Fort something?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a Fort something park or something like that, right?
Right, exactly.
Like Battery Park or something?
Was it Battery Park?
I don't know. It might have been in that area. It's so long ago, but you're right. It was a great show. And it was the first time I saw you live. And then the K-Amo thing, of course. So I was, I do this podcast. It's mostly, like you said at the beginning, film people. But, I also do like to talk to other types of storytellers or artists, and so I bring on a musician. And then I had on. I was also a fan of Joseph Arthur.
Oh yeah,
for many years, and I guess the catalyst was maybe when I saw you on his podcast recently.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I had Joseph. Also, I was at a party like last around the holidays, a friend of mine has every year in the East Village. And I'm standing there, I'm hanging out. And the next thing I know is Joseph walks in. I never met him. I've seen his shows, but maybe I met him like, can you sign the CD, you know? But, and I was just trying to tell you, he was so sweet, you know? And I said, look, you know, I kind of like always feel a little bit self-conscious bringing it up because it feels awkward. But I said, you know, I do this podcast. You come on. And it was right before he was starting his podcast, you know? So he's really into it. So I met him at his apartment like a week later, and we did it. It was great.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I've known him for a while.
Yeah, just the circuit, right? And
I think we started at the same time, and I had some friends up there that played in his band, and then they would come down and play with me, and then
oh, really?
We met at a show. Yeah, kind of shared a couple of music. And one of the guys that was producing the Under Cold Blue Stars record, he was working on one of Joseph Arthur's records at the same time, flying back and forth between Nashville and New York. So we just we knew each other through friends, and then I think we met at a show or something, and then we did a couple festival shows together, and yeah.
Very cool. Well, so I don't know, remember, I guess I went through the website or something to, and then I get an email from this guy, Jake Goralnik.
Right.
And I'm like, Goralnik?
Yeah, Peter Goralnik, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, oh, that's another guy I've been wanting to talk to forever. So we'll see what happens, you know. I read a number of his books, you know, over the years, so.
Yeah.
How did you connect with him?
Actually, I connected with him through my record label, Yep Rock.
Right.
I was without a manager for a while, and the guy who kind of started Yep Rock, Glenn, said, "Hey, why don't you talk to my friend Jake? And he manages a bunch of people, and I think he'd be great for you." So that's what happened. And to find out Jake's wife worked with me when she was at Rykodisc, and Jake knew about me the whole time because he was up around Massachusetts where Rykodisc, you know.
Oh.
He was friends with the guy. He used to run the record label, all that kind of stuff. So it worked out that way. Yeah.
He's a good guy. And then, okay, so I told you about Kiyamo and about all the connections. So I'm just kind of happy to get to know you a little bit and talk about whatever's on your mind. I know you recently released a live album, which I downloaded.
Oh, cool.
So, what is it called? Live at...
There was a kind of a misunderstanding about the title, and I liked it so much that I just kept it for the title, you know. Sure. So Yep Rock is in North Carolina, and there's a weird venue. It's called Hall River Ballroom, and it's in a town called Saxapahaw.
It's a mouthful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we played there back in 2015, and not a lot of, maybe 100 people came, you know, because Chapel Hill, and
yeah, that's
close, but it's like 20 miles. It's out in the country.
I see.
So if people want to go out and have a drink, or, you know, they don't, it was strange. So, we went there and we played the show, and nothing ever happened with the show. And then I think they were going through the archives, and they kind of thought, hey, what about this show? It's a good time to release some of this stuff. So I listened to it, and I said, yeah, this is good. Why don't you, I'll mix it up. I mixed the tracks, and then I have a little mastering program on my audio mastering program, and I mastered it. I put MSTRD or something like Saxapahaw Mastered, and they thought it said Saxapahaw Mustard. So I said, what are you going to call it? Saxapahaw Mustard? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. And then I just, you know, my wife did a little kind of sketch of a mustard bottle. So that is just kind of an inside silly title.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that it's just sort of, you know, it's an organic thing, which you end up embracing as opposed to, you know, Yep Records, they seem to be less hung up on conventional ways of things the way, you know, like I spent years at Sony Music, which, you know, it's corporate. I mean, it was a fun environment to work, but an artist like you, they just wouldn't. By the time I got there in the mid '90s, you'd have a wonderful artist, and I just said, like yourself or somebody, and I would just say, "Oh man, one album, that's all they got," because they would put no money into it. They just didn't know how to cater to a particular type of artist. They were very good at Celine Dion,
right?
And Ricky Martin,
Ricky Martin, yeah.
Some great, mind you, great talented singers and artists, but mass appeal. I mean, on a level like and they would just this was their 90% of their budget went into those, and then you get somebody like Mike Viola, and well, they did maybe a couple of albums, but they really just or Michael Penn is another guy, and just incredible talent, but they just it was too big a distribution company. But how many?
I talked to some major labels back in the day too.
Well, sure.
That was kind of the vibe that my manager and I at the time got to, and they kind of, the A&R people that we were talking to, actually I was lucky because they were all pretty straightforward. They kind of said the same thing. You're going to get one shot. They'll probably give you a good budget to do it, but if it doesn't really do anything, then you're back to where you were.
And you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place to some degree, because like you say, maybe you'll be able to work in a studio with some great musicians or bring your own item forwards, but then you really have to work your ass off kind of promoting it yourself, because they're just not going to spend enough money on you.
That's right. Yeah.
They have to plaster subway stations or bus shelters or magazines and newspapers, and so people know you're there,
Yeah.
It's tricky. Yeah. It's tricky, But how can you not want to consider something where, the home of Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen and wherever you're.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I could have benefited from a major label after my fourth or fifth record, I think, and I did talk to him, and then I got too good of an offer from it. That was kind of a big time where people were doing their own music, and I had enough of a fan base internationally to where if I put out my own record with another company, they were going to give me like an incredible percentage deal. So,
yeah.
And I could keep doing the thing about making, like you said, a product for a mass, a big audience, is that there's going to be a lot of cooks in the kitchen going, producers, A&R, no, we need to mix it with this guy. And I didn't have a lot of patience for that. It suddenly becomes something that you've written or you wanted to produce, and you put a lot of energy into becoming something else completely, and that happens with films as well, or screenplays, and they get rewritten, and here's what we think a lot of people are going to like, and and then you kind of it can make you feel like what you've created isn't really yours anymore. And it isn't to some degree, because you create it and it's out there and the people can enjoy it and they make of it what they want to. But having control over what people hear, what people see was more important to me than becoming maybe a John Mayer at that point,
Right. Who's a great example. But would you see yourself at that time when you were considering, after your third, fourth, fifth album, when you were grappling with the idea of going with a major label, were you also thinking, Madison Square Garden? I mean, was that ever something that was important to you, like a really big venue, or, the amphitheaters and the theaters, and where you?
I don't think I had the self-confidence. I think, I toured with people and I opened for people that had a lot of success after we knew each other. David Gray, for instance, I opened up for him when he put out a record called White Ladder that ended up selling like 10 million records or something.
They just had the 30th anniversary, right? Didn't they?
I don't know. I don't know, but
Okay.
I remember them doing that. I got the opening tour for that, and it was just starting to happen. That record had just come out. I think it had done something in Ireland, like, sold 50,000 copies in Ireland. But there was a big story, and everywhere we went, he was on the radio. like we would at the hotel, whatever. And I was like, wow, something, or, you know, playing in the lobby, or I go to the hotel room and there'd be a video. So it was, you know, all the shows were selling out. They were small places. They weren't big places. And that was happening. And then next year I went to go see him. He was playing Madison Square, like 2 nights at Madison Square Garden. So that definitely was, I thought, wow, is this something I could, you know, if I had the chance, would I want this? And I didn't feel like my music or my songs, I don't think I had the self-confidence to really, I didn't believe in myself enough, right? Maybe too cynical, I guess, to really want to embrace that like I could have. Not mature enough, maybe, emotionally to, I know that sounds strange, but I think when things really started happening, I would always try to downplay them a little bit, because my career did definitely grow kind of slow and organically, and I enjoyed it. But whenever things started getting bigger, I had a big opportunity, I think I would kind of go, oh, do I really want to do that? And really what it was just a lack of fear of failure, I think.
Yeah.
You know? Which happens to a lot of people, you know, and it definitely happened with me sometimes. Although, you know, deep down, I wanted those things, you know, but I thought, I don't think that many people would enjoy my music. And I knew that sometimes there's some artists that can manage their career enough to where, or they have a manager that can do it for them, that can do a lot of speaking for them to put them in positions to where I didn't feel like I had the personality to do the radio interviews or, you know, that kind of a celebrity thing to get me to a Madison Square Garden, or, you know, or maybe I was, you know, to put it in a more modest way, maybe I was a bit too humble, you know, I didn't, that's fine. But playing in, you know, playing at Battery Park was great.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think your songs are, I mean, the majority of your music, I mean, you can scale accordingly, of course, if you're, you know, going to play Madison Square Garden. Let's say if it's not your show, maybe you're just there with some sort of other kind of situation. But primarily speaking, you have an intimate type of approach. I mean, your voice,
right,
and your song,
yeah,
it's intimate, and there's no intimacy at Madison Square Garden.
No,
I mean, by and large.
There's a great book that How Music Works. Have you ever heard about the David Byrne book called How Music Works?
No, I don't know.
Have you heard of this? Oh, man, it's great. And he kind of explains it to where how music is created, and it's created with someplace in mind. Like when they were starting out, they created those talking heads, those songs for the CBGBs to play in that room. You know, the recordings were almost like that. No reverb. It wasn't big. It was direct, very quick, tight notes, you know, very syncopated rhythms.
Sure.
I think my stuff's kind of like that too. It's kind of bedroomy, you know, kind of like you say, intimate, kind of, it sounds great with headphones on, but in a live setting, someplace like Joe's Pub is probably more fitting than a Madison Square Garden. And, you know, I opened up for people playing bigger places, and I remember the sound man going, you know, you got to change it. You got to change it up. People can't hear you, and, you know, you got to turn the amps up and you got to project. And I did. And that was fun, you know, but at the same time, it didn't really I felt like I was actually, you know, changing what I did quite a bit to fit that venue. Whatever. That's a whole different thing, but it's a cool book. And it always makes me, when I'm playing for social distance crowds in my concerts now, it almost makes me feel like, hey, I knew what I was doing all along.
Yeah. Now you can play Madison Square Garden because, you know.
Exactly. 200 people show up and be perfect.
That's right. Everybody's 10 seats apart. It's perfect situation. Oh my God. Are there actually shows booked for the fall? Do you have?
Yeah, I had them. I had them booked. I had some festivals, some kind of smaller boutique festivals here in Europe. This summer that were moved to next summer. That's what they're kind of doing with a lot of the festivals and concert dates. But I had some dates in April that were moved to October.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they'll happen. I don't know.
I hope so too. Of course, your bread and butter, but you know, and it's it's your living. I'm just like, one of the main things I look forward to being in New York City in the summer, in the spring and the summer, are all the shows that go on, and all the music around this. It's just in Brooklyn and downtown.
Yeah.
It's just such an incredible thing. There's free concerts and shows at like Lincoln Center and Prospect Park. I mean, they're just so wonderful, and let alone going to see a few shows elsewhere. And it's just, and I usually, of course, at film festivals also. So it's over. So this whole year is. I
know it's been a real shitty 2020, man.
Yeah.
I'm definitely missing seeing. We went out to eat the other night, and we were sitting outside, and there was two guys with acoustic guitars and a guy playing the saxophone at another table in a different restaurant outside. Just kind of hippie-ish dudes, but it was like, oh,
yeah.
I really miss just hearing live music and going to see shows, because I go see quite a few shows in Nashville and here in Valencia when I'm here, when I'm not touring. So I know people, the fans and people who play music are missing it a lot.
What do you like to go see?
Whomever. I have a lot of friends that play.
Yeah, I bet.
I have a couple just frequent spots that I go to in Nashville, like a place called the Five Spot, which is it's like a dive bar, I guess, but it's great local and national, international groups play there. But I know everybody there,
Right. Come on, Josh. Come on and play a set. Come on, please.
Yeah.
Do you
and Nashville's full of incredible talent. So everywhere you go, everyone's really good.
Right. No. Yeah. There's a lot of. I'm sure you can't just show up and be, too amateur in Nashville, because even the street buskers are incredible talents.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where is the Five Spot? What neighborhood is that in?
That is in East Nashville. That's where our house is, in East Nashville.
Okay. Yeah. I used to be. My in-laws were there for many years, so I was frequently making trips there. And during them, we, of course, like I said earlier, we got married there, so there were a bunch of trips around that and coordinating all that. And I miss it. Yeah, I miss it. I miss my trips there.
Yeah.
But I have a son. My he saw his cousins there. So
how old is he now?
My son?
Yeah.
Shoot, I knew you were going to ask me that. No, I'm kidding. He's 16.
Oh, great. Wow.
Yeah. He just turned 16 a couple of weeks ago. His mother who's working in Los Angeles. She flew in. We stayed here. She brought him back to Los Angeles. He has also a half sister, so she brought the kids back to Los Angeles. So as of like 3 weeks ago, I've been alone here, which is, which has been okay. I thought I was going to be better, but it's a little bit. I have a lot of friends around. It's very isolating,
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been watching any films?
Oh yeah, well yeah, I am watching a lot of films, and I do the podcast, and I bring on a lot of filmmakers and actors onto the show, and I'm trying to think of what I've been watching lately. Things are kind of slowing down in that regard too, though, So I kind of like catch up, or I rewatch a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know if do you remember that movie Gas Food Lodging?
Yeah, sure.
So I had on the Allison Anders, who directed that. And
oh, cool.
She made a bunch of movies, so she came on recently. So what I end up doing is I end up rewatching a lot of the films, or watching the ones that I've not seen before. So because I really try to do my due diligence, when I bring somebody on, and then coincidentally, just through this series of bizarre incident, I'm now getting Illeana Douglas on. Do you know her?
Mm-hmm. Who's that?
The actor Illeana Douglas. She was in what is the thing she might be best known for? She's been on a lot of movies. You would definitely recognize her. She's
Illeana Douglas.
Illeana Douglas, Illeana.
Oh.
And she was in. Do you remember
how many times has Scorsese been married?
I don't know. I don't think that often.
Okay.
I don't know. but this was back in the day. So she was in. Remember?
Oh yeah. I know. I see her photo now. Yeah. I know
okay. Because she was in that famous scene in Cape Fear where De Niro bites her cheek off. Yes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
You remember that. And so, but she was also in Allison Anders' movie Grace of My Heart. Did you ever see that one?
Oh yeah, that was a good
building.
one. Yeah. Yep, I do.
Great. I thought that was a great one. Where plays basically like a Carole King type.
That's what I thought she was. Yeah, and I think Jay Mascis was Jay Mascis kind of her husband in that or something. He did the music for it. No, there was a guy that did the kind of. I have to go back and watch that movie, but there was a guy that she was married to or whatever. And
she was married to Eric Stoltz. I don't know if they got married actually.
Oh, Eric Stoltz, yeah, and the music is Jay Mascis. It's Jay Mascis. It's his music.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He plays sort of like a Jerry Goffin type of.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she falls in love with Matt Dillon, who plays sort of a Brian Wilson type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very close to the Brian Wilson. So, if you're a big fan of that type of thing, Breaks My Heart was terrific. Of course, the music was written by, a number of those guys, like Jerry Goffin and a few others. They contributed music. And then, of course, Burt Bacharach and Elvis played God Give Me Strength. That came out of that. And so
one of my good friends just did an EP with Burt Bacharach, co-wrote it, and Burt produced it and played on it.
When?
Last year.
Last year. He's got to be pushing 90, right?
Yeah, and he still gets, still flew to Nashville for the session, and yeah, it's great.
Wow. Which musician is that? Which artist?
It's a friend, and I've written a lot of songs with him. His name's Daniel Tashin.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard you mention him. Maybe when you were talking to Joseph, brought him up.
Yeah. He just won a Grammy. He produced this girl, Casey Musgraves, who won a bunch of Grammys. He produced and co-wrote and produced that record, and then after that, I think he might have met Burt before that, but he's good. He's really good, and he's good at getting out there and
amazing
and meeting people. Yeah.
Well, he's so beloved, and he's written some of the best songs ever written. My God. And speaking of, Jimmy Webb is another guy. Wichita Lineman and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that stuff. And he's still, as far as I know, he's still quite active.
Yeah, I think 2013 I did this kind of variety show, and he was on there.
You did one with
yeah, it was like 7 years ago, but I remember him. He did Wichita Lineman on the piano and told a bunch of stories, and he was very pleased with himself.
Was he?
Seriously, yeah.
Oh wow. Maybe he's earned it. Maybe
Yeah, he's earned it. That's right.
As long as he's not being obnoxious to the other artists, which I'm getting a little bit of.
No.
Oh, that's good.
This was from the stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever interviewed Nicole Holofcener?
That's funny you asked that. Why'd you ask that?
Well, because before we did this, I was trying to think about some songs that I have had in films.
I understand why. You probably thought I was going to ask you about that.
Right. No, that and it's kind of, I kind of wanted to look around and I mean, back in the early 2000s, I had a bunch in some cool films. Some people that became, directors that became fans that surprised me. Well,
nice. That's nice. I could see. I think anybody who has musical taste, who is introduced to your music, is going to become a big fan. But that's my
well, Cameron Crowe helped introduce my music to a lot of people. He put one of my songs in Vanilla Sky. And,
right.
And that really kind of, exposed my music to a lot more people than would normally hear it.
Right. So. And then you were like, hey, maybe you can include McCartney. I kind of feel like, a little sorry guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I supervised the rest of the soundtrack, of course.
Oh,
R.E.M., Jeff Buckley. Yeah. Radiohead. But Nicole is someone who used one of my songs, and I suppose that, you know, what happens a lot is that they put in temp music for a scene and they act to it, and they end up keeping it if it's approved. And I guess that's what happened, but I heard that she was a fan, so I was just curious.
I love her. No, and I love her. It's funny, I did meet her, and I did this was before the podcast, though. And I was, you know, writing stuff at the time, writing it up instead of a podcast, or I would write reviews. I mean, I wasn't really doing with any real enthusiasm. The podcast, however, I really love doing. I mean, it's a passion. But and there was a junket in New York City, for one of her films, and I'm not remembering off the top of my head which one, but it was a while ago. It was at least 10. It was good. Maybe 8 or 9 years ago at least. But she did that one. Oh man, I got to look it up now too, because I love most of her films. I mean, I think she's terrific, and I would love to get her on. Do you remember which one your song made it into?
Yeah, it was called Lovely and Amazing.
Well, that's one of her best films.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one where the woman asks her husband to tell her what he thinks of her body and not to lie?
Oh yeah.
Is that one?
Is it Catherine Keener?
I think it is. It may be her. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it. So, what a great podcast!
Yeah, it's been 20 years since I've seen it too, so I can't remember all the.
And he goes and he just like is uncensored. You know, he just lays into her, telling her every flaw, and she's devastated. Is Catherine Keener worked with her a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would love to get, and maybe now is the time to do it, because, you know, everybody's kind of home and quieter, you know, maybe you can get some.
Yeah, they can't really, I guess they can make films. I mean, they kind of do what they want to, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the next, well, you know, we're going to see I guess music too. I mean, you'll be going into this, people going, I guess the studio is going into a studio is much easier, because you can distance there, you can isolate the musicians, you can multi-track.
Yeah.
If I use terms that are confusing to you, let me know, because the musical terms. But like music, I mean, a film, forget it. I mean, you know, it's like, I mean, you can, and I think you're going to see a lot of smaller stories with fewer people in it. I guess if it's done right, you won't notice necessarily that, you know, there's no big crowd scenes or big, huge, you know, whatever.
Yeah. So next year they'll probably put out a lot of films that were shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, please give.
Which could be good. Could be good for some people who made them.
Yeah, I'm sorry to backtrack again, but the movie I was thinking of with that Nicole director was Please Give. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Catherine Keener and Oliver Platt.
Okay.
They're a couple in Manhattan, and it's really good. She's a good writer.
Yeah.
Which song did you have in Lovely and Amazing?
I think it was one off my second record. I think it was called Laughter or something like that. I can't remember, to be honest. But
so you have Vanilla Sky, Lovely and Amazing, I think those are two really well-known movies.
Well, yeah, I had, and at that same time, Sidney Pollack evidently became a fan, and there was a film that came out. Sidney Pollack, yeah.
Oh.
And he used a song in
Clute?
No, it was
that's the 70s, I know.
In Clute, yeah.
Did he direct that? I think he directed the Clute.
I don't know.
They shoot horses, don't they?
In the Translator, it was one with Nicole Kidman, and she plays
oh yeah.
It's Sean Penn and Nicole Kidman, and I'm trying to think of the film,
something like The Interpreter, or the
Interpreter. That's it. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty good movie. Yeah.
I think I saw it. I remember that might have been his last movie though, or if not, it was probably his second to last, because
I don't know. Yeah, I know. He died I don't know when he died. Did he die?
I'm not sure. Do you have a favorite album?
Do I have a favorite album?
Yeah, of yours, of your own. That's a
Of
hard
my own.
because they were probably all your children.
Um, um, no, the first one, because it was, my first record, first time really doing it. But 1972, I liked, I liked that record. It was a fun time. It came out. I worked really hard touring
Beautiful album.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's when things started playing for more people. It just felt like it became kind of more people started finding out about that record and me and coming to the shows. It just felt like something was happening, and it was fun.
Yeah,
fun to play those songs, and they're kind of groovy,
Yeah,
so.
I love that. That's great. As a matter of fact, I'm wondering where my copy is because I was going through all my CDs are in tubs right now. So
Yeah.
But I found a bunch of yours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I have at least 4 here, and then I have a bunch of downloads like and what is it, The Embers of Time and Love in the Modern Age, where you're more recent.
Love in the Modern Age. Yeah.
Jazzy years, your jazzy years.
Yeah.
Although that's always there. You've always been interested in the kind of the bossa nova, samba type of sound, and right? I love it too.
Yeah. There's something. I think there's something kind of. Although my songs can be somewhat melancholy, there's something that's light and breezy about that music. Just mixing those two things,
right,
is kind of my style. Works for me.
It's your sweet spot, as they say. And and here's an original question you've probably never been asked. When you were kind of coming up and you were starting to, well, first of all, when did you start writing music? I should back this up first by asking.
In high school.
Yeah. And you were
high school bands.
Were you always writing on guitar?
Yeah.
And then were there like your go-to guys? Guys meaning women or men?
Not really. I mean, at that point, I would just try to learn a song, and then if I was going to write my own song, just kind of take a part of another song and rework it a little bit, or
what do you mean?
Just copying other things. I would take something off. I would take, what's that?
Yeah, go ahead. I think you're answering my question.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just how I learned how to write songs was from learning a song by U2, the chords to, Sunday Bloody Sunday or something. And then the chords to different songs. And then you just learn chord progressions that way, and then make up different melodies, and suddenly it becomes yours,
And through that,
in high school, I did, I watched a lot of TV in high school. So some of those songs ended up being actually theme songs to television shows. They were just subconsciously there. And, we get stoned and we go over to my friend's house and be like, I'd play him a new song. And he was like, I think that's a theme to Magnum P.I. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And sure enough, it was a theme to Magnum P.I. Yeah. So, just anything that was around, I would just kind of
it would,
seep in there, even things to people. Yeah.
So, but that makes sense. Then out of that, though, you develop, right? You figure things out, and it becomes.
Yeah, I mean, things get filtered down and mixed together, and all of a sudden you come up with something that, hey, this is kind of original. I don't know where it came from. It's in there, it's all, memories and the only information that's in my brain. Mixed together, and something came out that was decent. That took a long time, though. I played in a lot of bands in high school and in college, and recorded with those groups. And I was usually the principal songwriter. Everyone would kind of make up their parts, but I was always the one with a bit more passion, kind of driving the project. Trying to get the shows and stuff like that. And I don't think it was until my first record that, and I decided just to do something on my own, that I had enough for someone to want to go into business with me, I guess you would call it. I thought, hey, more people than 50 other people in the university are going to like this, or 100 people, or what, because that's what it was before that.
Yeah, but And now you have, I guess, you now are on the other end of that, arc where you're maybe influencing other young musicians.
Yeah. I've been working with some, and it's fun. It's fun because I was that person at one time working with maybe older artists or producers and asking a lot of advice and being pretty insecure about what I was doing. So there's a lot of hand holding that goes on, a lot of therapy, which is fun. I don't mind it,
Well, they say that about the film director I've talked to. Like I was talking to Barry, Barry Sonnenfeld, who directed the Addams Family movies and the Men in Black movies and a bunch of other stuff. And he said, a lot of the time you're just like you're just making the decisions. People want to know you're going to make the decision. So you hold up a red folder,
right.
Green folder, or somebody comes up to you and they go, here's a red folder, here's a green folder, which one? And he goes, the red one. And that they're like, you're a great director. It's kind of like, so there is the decision. Somebody has to do that,
And to give a small reason why. Well, you're going to want that green one because such and such. It's.
Yeah, I guess. Often I think things are so fast paced, maybe they don't even care. They just thank you. That's all I need. If you get a chance, I'll send you. I'll send you, or through Jake, I can send you it's called Filmwax Radio. So
right.
You can just check out the show. It's on every, and the Barry Sonnenfeld. He was a very entertaining guy.
Yeah.
Very funny guy, but it's amazing because you got to be on. I don't know. Constantly dealing with so many different types of personalities, and I try to keep the show, whenever possible. I try to keep it entertaining too, because some people that listen to this podcast are really into film, and they think they're gonna just like learn stuff through anecdotes, And then I'm hoping that other people can kind of dig it just because it's fun, and people are talking about stuff that sort of relates to that they can relate to.
Sure.
So,
sure.
Try to accomplish both walk that very fine line, between interesting and stupid. As they said, Final Tap. Anyway, what was going to? Oh, so the last thing I guess is I think I remember also through your conversation with Joseph Arthur that you have a band you got guys in Nashville, but you also have musicians that you work with in Valencia. Is that right?
Yeah.
So when you're performing, I guess, locally, or would you be working on like maybe recording something, or like with those guys, hypothetically?
I started a studio with a couple guys here back in 2010 or 11, I think.
Oh, wow.
And they were guys that I had met around that were good. They were playing with different people on kind of, I guess, a national level in Spain, good musicians. And they happened to live in my neighborhood. So we became friends, and they played with me. And we're still friends, and we still play together. And that studio is still kind of, although I'm not here that much, I still do things in there, and it's still partly mine, I guess. And and I also have just a long-standing relationship with Nashville and a lot of musicians there, but a core group that I've played with for the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, but a lot of what I do now is just solo performance.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, just for the economics of it and the size of rooms that I'm playing. I was going to do some shows this summer with a band that's here in Spain.
I see.
Or if they're bigger shows in the States, I do that. But mainly what I do now is our singer-songwriter rooms. So to bring a full band there and the expenses, and just sometimes it's just too much,
Oh yeah, right.
And it doesn't really work in an intimate setting, I mean, it can. We can play quiet as well, but when you get a drummer and a bass player, you kind of want to rock out sometimes in a bigger place. And I still do that, but there's definitely a balance between playing with bands and performing solo. Usually when I have a new record come out, we do a tour of the States and Europe with a band, and then it's a mix of things, me performing solo or even in a duo format sometimes. So, yeah.
Right. Or you mean half the show might be just you on a guitar and then.
Yeah, or I'll bring a drummer. I'll do like a Jonathan Richman thing where I'll beat drums and guitar and tell lots of jokes. Yeah.
I love that guy too.
Yeah, he's great.
Did he go do Joseph's? I wonder if he did Joseph's podcast. That seems like a natural. That seems like somebody who Joseph Arthur would want to get on his podcast.
It would be good. I would definitely. That would be a podcast I wouldn't miss. I don't know if Jonathan Richman does a lot of podcasts. I think
okay. Well,
he feels kind of anti technology. I think
he's going to spend a lot of time talking about Zen practices, like and meditation, and he's a funny guy.
Oh yeah.
I love him though. Well, I guess I was wondering if you were writing, if it's even like something that when you're, I don't know how much of your time you're stuck inside, but it might be equal. It just is, one might think, oh, you're inside, so therefore you must have all this time to now just, write. But in a way, it's hard. I think it might be harder.
Yeah, there's definitely a. You think, oh, I should be creating now, and that's the first
right
creative blocker right there. Is when your mind does that. Oh, I need to be creating. It's over.
Yeah, right.
I've made up a few things since the and I had some things that I was working on actually right before this started in January and February that were really nice, and I kind of got to finish some lyrics for those things. And
you do have a certain, I guess, discipline, so you can put that into practice, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to work on stuff. I also have I kind of realized I had time to go through some older hard drives and just a lot of music I haven't released that just never fit on a record, or from 5-7 years ago, songs that I've recorded, having a studio here and just recording at home, and records worth of material that so I started a Patreon account.
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought it up. We can talk about
and so I just release a couple unreleased songs every month, and I do a live concert there, like a private live concert, and it's cool. I think it shows there's stuff from country songs that I've done to like more Brazilian to English shoegaze stuff, stuff that, if I'm searching for an idea, or I just feel like recording or writing something that day, and I do it and I actually flesh it out, or even have other people play on it. It just never ends up on a record, but it's a cool thing. That's kind of, that's become a place for that now. It's great. And it's like $5, I'm just charging $5 a month.
Yeah.
Or more, people want to donate more every month, they can, but I think I just started a few months ago, and I think people are really enjoying it. And I'm enjoying kind of going through that and curating it a bit. And I'm telling some stories about writing the song, or, talking about, an experience that I've had, just kind of some essays, That's way awesome. To get my writing after. And my wife is editing them.
Oh, yeah?
She's like, you need someone to edit these essays. I was like, okay.
I think I saw one. Obviously, this wasn't on your Patreon, but I think I saw you do one live concert. Was it FaceTime Live or Instagram Live? I don't remember which.
I think I've done YouTube, maybe.
YouTube Live?
I'm doing on YouTube.
And you did like a house show, and then and then at the end, I think your wife was singing harmonies on off camera.
Yeah.
Was that? Did you just do one of those, or?
No, well, I've done one. I'm doing just one a month, so I've done a couple.
Right, because there are people doing like every week.
It can be a little bit overwhelmed. This thing is artists have a hard time sitting still, so it's definitely overwhelming, the amount of Instagram Live and Facebook Live, and it's nice, but you could spend 8 hours a day just watching performers, which is good. But
I do.
Nothing takes the place of going and interacting and having a beer and watching a show.
No, and it's nice in the evening to turn that on after. It's just find somebody doing a house concert right now. It feels connective.
Yeah, it is nice. I have a friend that I haven't spoken to or seen in a long time in England. He's doing them, and it's kind of just nice to see him. See that he's doing. His name's Tim Keegan.
What is it?
Tim Keegan.
Tim Keegan. Okay.
Yeah, we've been friends for a long time.
So in the Patreon, so people can find it, you just go to Patreon and search Josh Rouse. Is that what?
Yeah, patreon.com/Josh Rouse.
Oh, very good. People should check that out. Have you? And then this will be it. I'll let you go. Get back to it. And thank you very much, by the way, for making the time and being a mensch and.
No, thank you.
So
yeah,
open.
It's cool to know that we've met before.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that. Do you struggle with the singer-songwriter category or name or like that, or have you gone through that? Do you feel like
there were times where I have. Yeah, I'm a little bit too old to care, to be honest now. I mean, I'm 48, and I think when I was in my 20s, I tried to come up with a band name when I first started, and I couldn't come up with anything. And I have a great list of band names now. And I always threaten to do projects under different names, and I get them started, and then I never follow through with it. I have friends that have monikers, and I've always liked that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I still think about it, but I don't worry about it too. I mean, my name has become enough of I've been fortunate enough to make a career out of playing music for over 20 years now, and it worked to some degree. I don't have to have another job yet, so.
Right.
That's still the goal.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you, and good luck with. I'll check out the Filmwax podcast.
Yeah, please do. In fact, maybe you can do a little in lieu of a song.
ID. Yeah.
How'd you know I was going to ask you that? I have some pretty good people do it over the years. I have to tell you.
What is there a line?
Not really. I wasn't just leaving you hanging in the air like that. I was going to tell you. So the name of the show here, I'll just write it down. Although, will this be? I don't know. Do I have to write this mirror-wise, like a mirror? So
I can read it backwards.
Is that? Can you?
Filmwax Radio.
Yeah, that's the name of it. It's Filmwax Radio. So anything you want to say, like, I don't know. I don't want to script it for you, but unless you want me to. It could just be as simple as this is Josh Rouse and you're listening to it.
Hang on a second.
Oh my God. What a treat.
I'm on a Filmwax Radio podcast. Filmwax Radio podcast. This is Josh Rouse, and you're listening to the Filmwax Radio podcast.
Wow.
That was a pretty good little improv.
That was an official. Did you write that song, or did you?
There you go, man.
Thank you.
Hey, you got a guitar back there too. Do you play?
Yeah, all my life I've been playing. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a real salve during this period, especially when the first weeks and months were so stressful because we didn't know, there was so much unknown and anxiety around the virus. And plus my dad, I didn't tell you this, I wouldn't want to, my father died when all this was going on, and it's heavy.
From the COVID?
No, well, yes and no. He did get it. He was, I think honestly, he was going to die regardless because he was by the end of it, he was already very sick. And then, but he'll probably go down as a statistic regardless, how they do it.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mention it only because, the music, just picking up the guitar and playing every day, which I haven't been able to, or maybe not haven't been able to, but I've chosen not to for a long time. And now being inside again, and I had this whole community from my summer camp days that were back, like, really connected, and I was starting to post a song a day. And it really,
cool.
Yeah, it's been the best, and it's very, very cathartic, and I've gotten my, playing back at a level, and the singing and all that stuff, so it's pretty
nice. Yeah, it feels good. It's definitely therapeutic. I notice if I go a few days without even playing guitar or singing, I just kind of feel bad.
Huh.
Yeah, it definitely, even just for 20 minutes, I know it sounds weird. It sounds like meditation or something, but it has that I think the physicality of singing and playing and the way the neurons interact when you have to do that, for me is a natural, just kind of like exercising or something. I feel better after I do
It's
it.
amazing after like 35 years to still produce.
What's that?
I said it's amazing after like 35 years. I'm just started doing the math a little bit. You said you started like in high school, or at least writing in high school. But to still have the that basic need to pick up the guitar and just do that for every day.
Well, because everything else can go wrong, the rest of the world can go wrong with that. Really,
right.
It really can. Music is one thing that, for me, that's always been pretty solid as far as the way it makes me feel.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good place to leave it.
Yeah. Okay, man.
All right.
Take care.
You too.
And maybe we'll see you next year.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be around playing in New York. I'm sure I play around New York State quite a bit. So.
No, right. Maybe I'll be up there. Still, we'll see. But I'd come down to see you too if you're in the city. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure, man. We'll keep in touch.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Take care.